Welcome back. In our previous video, we explored the new EU tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Today, we are diving deeper to examine the potential countermeasures that China might take in response. What does this mean for the global market, and how will it impact us as consumers? Let's delve into the details.
The situation continues to intensify as the tariffs on Chinese EVs, imposed by the EU, are set to take effect in October 2024. These tariffs could lead to significant price increases for vehicles from manufacturers like NIO and BYD. Interestingly, following the announcement of these tariffs, NIO took swift action, cooperating with the EU to reduce their tariff rate from the initially proposed 36.3% down to 21.3%. This move highlights the efforts manufacturers are making to cushion the impact of these tariffs on the European market. With these developments in mind, let's now explore China's possible counteractions in more detail. Let's start by discussing the likelihood of retaliatory tariffs from China. It's highly probable that China will respond to the EU's actions with tariffs of its own, potentially targeting not only European automotive and industrial goods but also agricultural products like pork and dairy, which are crucial to the Chinese market. In fact, China has already initiated an anti-dumping investigation into European pork imports. This measure is widely viewed as a direct response to the EU's tariffs on Chinese EVs and could serve as a strategic lever to exert economic pressure on the EU. It's worth noting that China has sharply criticized the EU's investigation, labeling the tariffs as protectionist actions that violate WTO regulations. This criticism underscores the rising tensions between these two economic giants. Another strategy China might pursue is to further enhance its domestic markets. Over the past few years, China has made substantial investments in its electric vehicle sector to boost exports and establish a leading position in the global market. These efforts could result in even lower production costs for Chinese EVs, allowing them to be sold at competitive prices both domestically and internationally. This would further intensify competition for European automakers, particularly if Chinese manufacturers continue to benefit from state support. China is the world's largest supplier of rare earth elements and other critical materials essential for the production of electric vehicles. As a potential countermeasure, China might tighten export controls on these crucial materials. Such a move would not only impact the European EV industry but could also disrupt the production of high-tech products worldwide. The global ramifications would be significant, given that many countries rely heavily on China for these vital resources. China could also choose to challenge the EU through legal means by filing a case with the World Trade Organization, WTO. However, this process could be lengthy and fraught with uncertainties. Meanwhile, trade relations between the EU and China could remain tense. Such a legal battle could further strain relations and lead to additional complications in the global trade landscape. From China's perspective, these measures are seen as protectionist and a breach of WTO rules. Beijing argues that such actions undermine the global green transition efforts that both China and the EU claim to support. Another likely response from Chinese companies could be to relocate production capacities to other countries in order to sidestep the tariffs. For instance, Stellantis is already collaborating with Leapmotor to manufacture electric vehicles in Poland, demonstrating how companies might strategize to navigate around trade barriers. If more Chinese manufacturers follow this path, they could potentially reduce the impact of EU tariffs and maintain their competitiveness in the European market. In recent months, China has repeatedly expressed a willingness to negotiate while also making it clear that it will take all necessary actions to defend its interests. These diplomatic efforts are reflected in the EU's adjustments to tariffs, such as the reduction in the rate for Tesla. However, these negotiations are complex, and the risk of further escalation remains a significant concern. The risk of a full-blown trade war between China and the EU is becoming increasingly tangible. Experts caution that such an escalation could severely disrupt global supply chains and jeopardize climate goals. Both sides are acutely aware of the risks involved, but while the EU prioritizes the protection of its domestic industries, China views these measures as a serious threat to global economic stability. As trade tensions escalate, both China and the EU may be compelled to reconfigure their strategic supply chains. For the EU, this might involve ramping up investment in domestic EV production and decreasing reliance on Chinese raw materials. Conversely, China may seek to explore new export markets outside the EU or diversify its production base to circumvent future trade restrictions. In conclusion, the ongoing trade conflicts between the EU and China are poised to have far-reaching implications for the global economy. While these tariffs may exert immediate pressure on the Chinese EV industry, they could also lead to a long-term reshaping of global trade relationships. The next few months will be critical in determining how both sides navigate these challenges, but one thing is certain: these industries are entering a pivotal phase of transformation.
If you found something interesting in this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future updates. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the current developments, so drop a comment below. And if you are keen in learning more about the latest trends in the electric vehicle industry, be sure to check out our other videos. See you next time. Bye bye.